Have you ever loved someone so much that you thought they were your forever, only to find out they were planning forever with someone else? That's exactly the nightmare I walked into when I discovered my ex, the man who once swore he couldn't breathe without me, was getting married. And not just to anyone, but to a woman he had secretly been seeing while he was still with me. The betrayal felt like poison. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them laughing together, her hand on his arm like I used to be. I wanted to scream, I wanted to cry. But more than anything, I wanted him to feel the pain he had carved into me. People always say time heals everything. But tell me, how do you heal when the person who broke you gets to live happily ever after while you're left picking up the broken pieces of yourself? How do you move on when your memories are stolen and replaced by his lies? At first, I thought I would just disappear from his world completely, pretend he never existed. But then, the wedding invitation came. An invitation. Like twisting the knife deeper, as if I should sit in the crowd, smile politely, and clap while he kissed her at the altar. That's when I realized I wasn't just going to sit back. No, I was going to do something unforgettable. What I did that day, well, let's just say it changed everything. Some people would call it petty. Others would say it was evil. But me, for the first time in months, it felt good. So good that I almost scared myself. And if you want to see how this shocking story ends, don't forget to subscribe. You won't believe the lengths I went to. The day I found out about the wedding wasn't some big dramatic reveal. It was worse. It was quiet, ordinary, almost cruel in how casually the truth reached me. A mutual friend texted me a photo from Instagram. My ex, smiling wide, his arm around her, the caption dripping with fake sweetness. Counting down the days until I marry my soulmate. My hands shook as I stared at the screen. Soulmate? That was the exact word he used to call me. I could almost hear his voice, whispering it late at night, making me believe I was irreplaceable. And yet here it was, recycled, handed to someone else like it meant nothing. I wanted to throw my phone against the wall, but instead, I scrolled, post after post, them at dinner, them on vacation, him grinning like he hadn't once shattered me into pieces. It wasn't just betrayal, it was mockery. Each picture felt like he was spitting in my face, saying, "Look how easily I moved on. Look how happy I am without you." And then came the real dagger, a story highlight, saved forever on his late work shifts. In that moment, the truth was undeniable. She wasn't his soulmate. She was the reason I became disposable. The anger inside me wasn't just about losing him. It was about losing myself. I kept asking, how could I have been so blind? How did I not see the signs? Or worse, did I see them but just choose to believe his lies? By the time I closed the app, my blood was boiling. This wasn't heartbreak anymore, it was war. But the question was, how do you fight a war you've already lost? That answer came to me faster than I expected, and once it did, there was no turning back. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw their smiling faces, their fake happiness paraded online as if I never existed. My chest burned with something I hadn't felt in years, rage so raw it made my hands tremble. I wasn't just angry at him. I was angry at myself for trusting, for forgiving, for wasting so many nights waiting for a man who was already giving his time to someone else. But then another thought crept in, one that was darker, sharper. If he could lie so easily, if he could replace me so quickly, then why should I stay silent? Why should he get to build a perfect little love story while I was left drowning in the ruins he created? I opened my laptop and stared at the screen. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, but I hesitated. What was I even planning? To message her? To expose him? To ruin his wedding before it even began? Part of me whispered, "Don't do it. You'll only look bitter." But another voice, louder, angrier, pushed back. Why should I protect the man who destroyed me? Why should I protect her, the woman who knew about me and still smiled in my face? I thought about all the late nights he came home smelling like perfume that wasn't mine, all the excuses, all the gaslighting. And then her face flashed in my mind, the smug way she once asked me if I trusted him completely. I used to laugh at that question. Now it haunted me. My heart raced as I began typing. Not to her, not to him, but to someone else. Someone who needed to know the truth before saying I do. The words spilled out faster than I could stop them, like poison finally escaping a wound that had been festering for too long. By the time I hit send, my entire body shook. I didn't know if I had just saved someone's future or destroyed my own sanity. Because sometimes revenge doesn't come in fire or shouting. Sometimes it comes quietly, through a message that can burn down an entire life. And little did I know that single message was about to unleash chaos I couldn't control. The next morning, I woke up with my heart pounding, as if my body already knew I had done something irreversible. I grabbed my phone, half expecting a flood of angry messages. Nothing, just the usual spam, the endless scroll of people pretending their lives were perfect. For a moment, I wondered if the message had even gone through. Maybe it slipped into a junk folder. Maybe it was ignored. But deep down, I knew the truth. There was no way she would ignore it. Not with the evidence I sent. Not with the screenshots that painted the story he tried so hard to bury. Hours ticked by like years. Every vibration of my phone made me jump. I kept replaying it all in my head. The look on her face when she read my words, the cracks forming in her fairy tale. Did she confront him immediately? Did she stay silent, letting the truth rot in her chest until she couldn't breathe? Part of me hoped she would leave him instantly, call off the wedding, make a scene so big everyone would finally see him for what he really was. But another part of me, a darker part, wanted her to go through with it anyway, to stand at the altar, knowing the vows were already poisoned. That thought made me smile, and then immediately hate myself for it. I tried to distract myself. Coffee, music, a walk around the block. But no matter what I did, my mind kept circling back to the same haunting question. What if she doesn't believe me? What if he twists it, like he always does, and convinces her I'm the crazy one? The uncertainty gnawed at me. I thought sending the message would bring me peace, but instead, it left me stranded between satisfaction and fear. Had I just handed him another chance to make me look like the villain? Then my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't spam. It wasn't random. It was her. My stomach dropped. The screen lit up with just 2 words, words that told me this was only the beginning. We need to talk. Her message sat there, glowing on my screen like a warning light. We need to talk. My first instinct was to delete it, pretend I never saw it, but my hands betrayed me, trembling as I opened the thread. My breath caught in my throat as I typed back a single word. When? The 3 dots appeared immediately. She was waiting, just as restless as I was. Now. My chest tightened. Did now mean a phone call? Did it mean she wanted to see me in person? The possibilities spun through my head, each one scarier than the last. Still, I typed back. Where? Her reply came in less than a minute. Corner Cafe, 1 hour. I stared at the screen, frozen. That cafe wasn't random. It was our cafe. The place he and I used to go before the lies, before the betrayal, before he left me standing in the ruins of what I thought was love. She chose that place on purpose, and I wasn't sure if it was a peace offering or a trap. The next hour was torture. My thoughts flipped between panic and adrenaline. What if she came cold despite the summer heat? My reflection in the mirror almost startled me. Pale skin, wild eyes, lips pressed tight. I didn't look like the calm, in control avenger I had imagined myself to be. I looked desperate, haunted. By the time I reached the cafe, my nerves were shredded. She was already there, sitting at a corner table, her back stiff, her phone clutched in her hand like a weapon. She wasn't in her bridal glow anymore. There was no sparkle, no warmth. Her eyes were rimmed with red, but her expression was sharp, unreadable. For a few seconds, I just stood there at the door, gripping the handle as if it were the only thing keeping me steady. Then, she looked up. Our eyes locked, and my stomach turned to ice. Her lips parted, but no sound came. She simply gestured for me to sit. And in that moment, I knew this conversation wasn't going to be simple. It wasn't going to be polite. This was going to be a war. The silence between us was thick enough to choke on. The clinking of coffee cups around us felt too loud, too ordinary, as if the rest of the world had no idea two women were about to tear open wounds so deep they might never heal. She didn't waste time. Her voice cut through the air, sharp and trembling. "Why did you do it?" Her eyes pinned me like daggers. No greeting, no small talk, just raw demand. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. "Because you deserved to know the truth. I wasn't going to let you walk into a marriage built on lies." Her jaw tightened. She leaned forward, her nails tapping the table. "You humiliated me. In front of everyone. Do you even understand what you've done?" Her words stung, but so did the bitter irony. Humiliation. She thought I had caused her pain, when it was really him who had set this whole disaster in motion. "I didn't ruin your wedding," I said, my voice shaking but steady enough to hold. "He did. I just exposed it." For a moment, her face cracked. The pain bled through the anger, and she looked less like a bride betrayed and more like a woman whose heart had been ripped apart. Her voice dropped, quieter, almost pleading. "Tell me everything. Don't leave anything out." I hesitated. This was it, the moment where I could either twist the knife or offer her the truth she asked for. My stomach churned with a mix of pity and anger. Part of me wanted to soften the story, to spare her, but another part, the darker part, wanted her to feel every ounce of betrayal I had felt. So I told her. Every secret, every lie, every night I spent crying into a pillow while he whispered sweet promises to her. I laid it bare, detail by detail, watching her face crumble with each word. She didn't interrupt, she didn't scream. She just listened, her eyes glossy, her body frozen like a statue. By the time I finished, she looked hollow, hitched. The words replayed in my mind over and over. Not the only one? Cutting. Impossible to escape. You only lit the first match. I stared at her, my pulse thundering in my ears. What do you mean by that? She leaned back in her chair, calm now, too calm, as if she enjoyed dangling the truth just out of my reach. You thought you were clever, ruining his perfect wedding. But darling, that was nothing compared to what's coming. Her smile wasn't joy, it was venom. You knew? My voice cracked, louder than I intended. Heads turned in the cafe, curious eyes landing on us, but she didn't flinch. She thrived on it. Knew? She tilted her head. I orchestrated half of it. The floor beneath me felt like it was crumbling. My stomach knotted. I replayed every detail of that day, the ruined vows, the whispers spreading like wildfire, the look on his face when everything fell apart. And now she was claiming part of it as her own. I wanted to accuse her of lying, of spinning another manipulation to drag me deeper into her twisted web. But her eyes didn't waver. He destroyed us both, she whispered, leaning closer, her perfume mixing with the bitterness in her tone. So why should he get to walk away unscathed? A sick realization dawned on me. This wasn't just about revenge, this was about control, power. She wasn't a victim anymore. She was something else entirely. And here's the worst part. Some small, broken part of me wanted to cheer her on. "You're insane," I muttered, more to convince myself than her. She chuckled, low and cruel. "Insane? No, strategic." Her eyes gleamed. He underestimated us both. He thought we'd stay silent, broken, fighting each other while he played the hero. She leaned in so close I felt her breath against my ear. But instead, we're going to destroy him. The air between us thickened, my chest tightened. Every nerve in my body screamed to run, but my curiosity held me hostage. "What are you planning?" I asked, my words trembling. Her lips curved into that same chilling smile. "Oh, sweet girl, it's already begun." My heart plummeted. If what I had done was just the spark, then whatever she had set into motion was the wildfire. And the terrifying truth, I wasn't sure if I wanted to stop it or help her burn it all down. That night, I couldn't sleep. Her words played on a loop in my mind, taunting me like a song I couldn't shut off. It's already begun. What had she meant? What had she set in motion? I paced my apartment, clutching my phone, tempted to, after all. But then, another thought crept in, dark and poisonous. What if she drags me down with her? The next morning, the answer came in the most unexpected way. A message pinged on my phone. Not from her, not from him, but from an unknown number. "You don't know me, but I think we have the same enemy." My heart jumped into my throat. My fingers shook as I typed back, "Who is this?" No answer. Instead, a photo came through. A grainy shot of him, my ex, looking over his shoulder in what seemed like a parking garage. The timestamp was from the night before. My blood ran cold. Whoever this was, they weren't just playing games. They were watching him, following him, tracking him. I stared at the photo until my vision blurred. And then the second message came. "If you want the truth, meet me tonight. Alone." I dropped my phone onto the couch, my breath catching in my chest. Another player in this twisted game had entered the scene. Was this her doing? Another manipulation? Or had I just stumbled into something far darker than I had ever imagined? One thing was certain. I was no longer just the saboteur. I was a pawn in a much bigger game. And the scariest part? I wasn't sure I wanted out. I agreed to meet. I don't know if it was curiosity, recklessness, or the thrill of stepping deeper into something dangerous, but I couldn't resist. Maybe I wanted answers. Maybe I wanted revenge sharpened into something cleaner, deadlier. The meeting place was strange, an old cafe on the edge of town. It was nearly empty when I arrived, the kind of place that smelled faintly of burnt coffee and stale pastries. A single figure sat in the corner, face hidden beneath a baseball cap. As I approached, they looked up. A woman, younger than me, maybe mid-20s, with eyes that burned like she hadn't slept in weeks. "You're her, aren't you?" she asked, her voice low, cautious. I froze. Her? The one who ruined the wedding. She gave a bitter smile. "Don't worry, I'm not here to judge. In fact, I'm glad you did it." Her words rattled me. This stranger knew things she shouldn't. My chest tightened. "Who are you?" She leaned closer, voice almost a whisper. "I'm someone who knows what he's capable of. You think you hurt him? No. He's the kind who always finds a way to come out clean, to make you the crazy one. But I've seen his real side." My stomach dropped. I wanted to ask 1,000 questions, but she slid a small envelope across the table instead. "Proof," she said. Inside were photographs. Grainy, but damning. Him, my ex, with another woman. Not the fiancé, someone else. The timestamps weren't old. These were recent. Heat rushed through me.
Most.
Her words sank in like venom. Was this a warning or an invitation? Before I could respond, she leaned back, her tone shifting darker. But here's the problem. The wedding, it was only the beginning. He's planning something else, something bigger. And if you think he won't drag you down with him, you're wrong. My pulse quickened. What do you mean? She didn't answer. She just stood, pulled her cap lower, and walked away. I sat there clutching the photos, torn between dread and a strange, twisted thrill. For the first time, it felt like I wasn't alone in this war. But allies like her, they're never free. I couldn't stop staring at the photos long after she left. My ex with another woman, his arms around her, his lips on hers. The dates burned into my mind like fire. It wasn't just betrayal. It was proof that his entire life was a revolving door of lies. But the stranger's last words haunted me more than the images. The wedding was only the beginning. What could that mean? That night I barely slept. My mind replayed every detail, his smirk when he lied, his talent for twisting stories, the way he always came out looking like the victim. What if she was right? What if ruining his wedding wasn't the end of the war, but just the opening battle? The next morning, my phone buzzed with an anonymous message. No name, just a single line. He's already making his next move. Watch your back. My hands trembled. Was this her? Was she trying to scare me? Or save me? For a moment, I considered ignoring it, pretend it didn't exist, go back to my life and let the storm pass. But then I remembered something. He never let go. He was the kind of man who always needed to win, no matter the cost. And if he thought I'd embarrassed him at his wedding, he'd want blood in return. The rest of the day was a blur. Every car that slowed near my street made my heart pound. Every unknown number that rang my phone made me jump. I started questioning everything. Had he already found out about the photos? Did he know I met her? By evening, paranoia had me pacing my apartment. That's when I noticed it. An envelope slipped under my door. I froze. The handwriting on the front was neat. My name, nothing else. I picked it up, pulse racing, and tore it open. Inside was a single photograph. This time, it wasn't of him. It was of me, taken yesterday, outside the cafe. I dropped it, my chest tightening. He knew. He was watching. And suddenly it hit me. I wasn't the hunter anymore. I was the prey. The photo lay on the floor like a curse, staring up at me, daring through my contacts, tempted to call the police. But then I stopped. What would I even say? Hi, my ex might be stalking me because I ruined his wedding? They'd laugh. Or worse, they'd dismiss me as paranoid. And maybe I was, but the evidence in my shaking hands told me otherwise. As I sat at the edge of my bed, I realized I couldn't fight this alone. That's when my phone buzzed again. A new message, this time from an unknown number. If you want answers, meet me tomorrow, 8 p.m. at the old train station. My stomach dropped. It could be him. It could be a trap. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. It was her, the stranger who had warned me. Sleep didn't come that night. I kept replaying every possible scenario in my head. What if he showed up instead? What if this was the end for me? But a stronger thought pushed back. What if this was the only way to finally uncover the whole truth? The next evening, the sky was heavy with clouds, the kind that promised rain. My heart raced as I approached the abandoned train station. The place was as eerie as I remembered. Rusting metal, shattered glass, shadows that seemed to breathe. And then I saw her. Standing under the flickering light, the woman from before. Her face was pale, her eyes sharp, like she'd been carrying a burden too heavy for too long. "You came," she said softly, almost surprised. "Tell me everything," I demanded, my voice shaking. "Why are you helping me? What does he want?" She looked at me for a long moment, as if deciding whether I was strong enough to handle the truth. Finally, she leaned closer and whispered words that made my blood run cold. "He doesn't just want revenge. He wants to destroy you the way he destroyed me." And before I could even ask what she meant, thunder cracked above us, and a shadow moved in the distance. We weren't alone. The sound of footsteps echoed through the hollow train station, each one bouncing off the cracked walls like a warning. My heart pounded so loud, I was sure he could hear it. The woman's eyes darted toward the shadows, her face tightening with fear. "Stay calm," she whispered, but her trembling hands gave her away. The footsteps grew louder, closer. My instinct screamed at me to run, but my legs were rooted to the floor. Then, out of the darkness, he appeared. My ex. His smile wasn't the kind you give someone you once loved. It was the kind that made your blood turn to ice. "Well, well," he drawled, his eyes locking on me. "You really couldn't leave it alone, could you?" I froze. The woman beside me stepped forward, blocking me with random messenger. She knew him. She had been through something with him, something terrible. My mind spun, piecing fragments together. She wasn't just warning me out of kindness. She was a survivor of his darkness.
"You used me!"
I shouted, anger rising over fear.
"You pretended to love me, and now you want to destroy me? For what? Because I walked away? Because I embarrassed you?"
He laughed, low and menacing. "Embarrassed me? You humiliated me in front of everyone I knew. My family, my friends, my business partners. Do you have any idea what that cost me? Do you have any idea how long I've been planning to make you pay?" The woman gripped my arm.
"Don't let him twist this. He's dangerous. He'll never stop until you stop him first."
My chest tightened. I wanted to believe her, but the fury in his eyes, the venom in his words, it was real. And now, in this abandoned station with no one around, I understood. I wasn't just his ex. I was his target. Suddenly, he stepped forward, pulling something from his coat pocket. The dim light caught the glint of metal. My breath caught. It wasn't just a game anymore. The glint of metal froze me where I stood. For a split second, I thought it was a knife. My body tensed, waiting for the sharp sting of steel. But when he raised his hand, I realized it was worse, much worse. It was a phone. Not just any phone. My phone. The one I thought I had lost weeks ago. He dangled it like bait, his smirk widening as he waved it in front of me. "Looking for this?" he sneered. "You should have checked your cloud storage better. I've got everything. The messages, the pictures, the voice notes, every embarrassing little thing you thought was private." My stomach dropped. Memories rushed back. Screenshots of conversations with friends where I had vented about him, vulnerable messages I had sent in my lowest moments, even voice memos where I confessed fears I'd never told another soul. All of it in his hands. The woman beside me gasped. "You wouldn't dare." "Oh, wouldn't I?" he snapped back. eyes blazing. The wedding was only the beginning. You think you destroyed me? No. I'm still in control. And when I'm finished, she'll have nothing left. No reputation, no friends, no career, not even herself. My throat tightened. I wanted to scream, to rip the phone from his hands, but my legs felt weak. I had played with fire at his wedding, and now I was standing in the flames. Why? My voice cracked, almost breaking. Why are you doing this to me? Why can't you just move on? He leaned closer. She had been through this dance before and had survived. For the first time, I realized she wasn't just here to warn me. She was here to fight beside me. But before I could say anything, he unlocked the phone and held it up, his thumb hovering over the send all button. One tap, 1 second, and my entire life could unravel. The station air felt heavy, pressing down on my chest. I wanted to scream, to lunge forward, to stop him, but instead I forced myself to do the one thing he didn't expect. I smiled. That smile I gave him wasn't fake. It was power. For the first time since this nightmare began, I saw his expression flicker. Just for a second. Doubt crept across his face, like he couldn't understand why I wasn't falling apart at his little show of dominance. Go ahead, I said softly, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Send it all. Leak every message. Share every photo. Destroy me if that's really what you think will make you whole again. He narrowed his eyes, confusion mixing with rage. You think this is a game? No, I whispered, stepping closer until we were only a breath apart. I think this is pathetic. You're clinging to me, to scraps of the past, because without me, you're nothing. The words hit him harder than I expected. His jaw clenched. His grip on the phone tightened. For a brief moment, I thought he might actually drop it. The woman beside me, my unexpected ally, placed a firm hand on my shoulder. Don't back down now. He feeds on fear. You're starving him. And she was right. For once, I wasn't reacting out of panic. I wasn't shrinking under his shadow. I was standing in it and pushing back. You think you can humiliate me? I continued, my voice growing louder, stronger. You already did that once, at the wedding, in front of everyone. But guess what? I survived, and I'm still standing here, still breathing, still fighting. His face twisted. He hated that. He hated my resilience more than anything. Shut up, he barked, shoving the phone inches from my face. You don't understand. I control the narrative. One tap, and the world sees who you really are. But instead of flinching, I laughed. A low, bitter laugh that echoed through the cold station walls. Then do it. Expose me. Because when you do, everyone will finally see who you really are. A desperate, broken man who can't let go. The silence that followed was electric. His hand trembled. The phone screen glowed between us. That single button, daring him to press it. He wanted to win. He wanted to speak, but no words came out. The woman at my side whispered, "He's cracking. Keep going." For the first time, I believed I could actually win, that I wasn't the helpless victim anymore, that maybe, just maybe, I had turned the tables. But then he smiled, slowly, sinister. "You think this ends with me?" he muttered. "You have no idea how deep this goes." My blood ran cold. What did that mean? What else was hiding in the shadows of this twisted game? Before I could ask, He slipped the phone back into his pocket and stepped away, leaving me trembling, not from fear, but from the terrifying thought that the real battle hadn't even started yet. My heart pounded in my chest as his words echoed in my head. You have no idea how deep this goes. That sinister smile lingered in my mind long after he disappeared into the shadows of the station. It wasn't a threat thrown in desperation. It was a promise. The woman beside me, my unexpected ally, watched him leave, her face pale. You need to be careful, she said quietly. That wasn't just bluster. He's got layers to this. I wanted to ask her what she meant, how she knew so much, but before I could, my phone buzzed. A notification. My stomach dropped. It wasn't from him. It was worse. A private message from an unknown number. Attached was a photo. Me crying in my car, taken weeks ago. My hands shook as I scrolled. More photos followed. Me leaving my apartment. Me at the grocery store. Me asleep on my couch through the living room window. Oh my God, I whispered, dropping the phone as bile rose in my throat. The woman picked it up and her face hardened. He's not alone. He's had someone watching you. The station walls suddenly felt like they were closing in. Every memory of the past few months twisted into something darker. The feeling of being watched wasn't paranoia. It was real. And the message attached to the last photo? You thought this was just about him? It's bigger than that. Much bigger. My chest tightened. My first instinct was panic, to crumble, but I forced myself to breathe. Why me? Why are they doing this? The woman glanced at me, her eyes narrowing. Because you embarrassed him. You took control when he thought he had all the power. Men like him don't forgive. They don't forget. And if someone else is involved, someone helping him, they're not going to stop until you're broken. Her words sliced through me. Broken. That's what they wanted. But deep down, a small flame of defiance flickered. I clenched my fists. No, if he thinks I'm going to run, hide, or beg, he's wrong. I'm not letting him destroy me piece by piece. Then you need to be smart.
Toxic man and his threats.
There was someone else. Someone unseen. Pulling strings in the background. And the worst part? I didn't know who to trust anymore. Every shadow outside my window, every unfamiliar number calling my phone, every pair of eyes lingering too long in public, suddenly they all felt like suspects. For the first time, I realized this wasn't just revenge. It was a war. A war I hadn't asked for, but one I'd have to survive. And survival meant I needed to find out the truth, no matter how ugly it was. Sleep became impossible after that night. Every creak in my apartment, every passing car light through the blinds, it all felt like surveillance. I locked and relocked every door and window, but the photos haunted me. Someone had been close enough to capture those moments, to breathe in the same air as me, without my knowledge. By morning, my exhaustion had twisted into paranoia. My coffee sat untouched as I scanned my phone again. The same message stared back at me. It's bigger than that. Much bigger. What did that even mean? I couldn't stop replaying it in my head. If this wasn't just about him, if others were involved, then who else knew? Who else was part of this? I went to the woman, the one who had warned me. She didn't look surprised when I showed her the photos. I told you, she said, almost bitterly. You've stepped into something you can't just walk away from. Her tone set me on edge. What do you mean? You sound like you've seen this before. For the first time, She avoided my eyes. Her silence lasted just a little too long. Then she finally said, "Because I have. You're not the first." My stomach dropped. Not the first. What? Her voice lowered, like even saying it out loud carried risk. Not the first woman he's tried to ruin. The words hit like a hammer. Suddenly it wasn't just about my broken engagement or his cruel games. There were others, other lives wrecked, other people dragged into his chaos. How many? I asked, but my voice cracked halfway through. She sighed, shaking her head. Too many. And the worst part? No one believed them. By the time he's finished, his victims look hysterical, unstable, like they made it all up. He's careful. He uses people. And whoever's helping him, they know exactly what they're doing. I felt sick. Images of the photos on my phone blurred in my mind. I wasn't just fighting for my dignity anymore. I might be fighting.
That night I sat in the dark, phone clutched in my hands, determination hardening into resolve. If he wanted to play a game, fine. But this time, I was going to play back. And I wasn't planning to lose. The first step was the hardest, deciding to fight back instead of hiding. Fear kept whispering that I should stay quiet, keep my head down, and maybe it would all fade away. But deep down, I knew silence was exactly what he wanted. That's how he had controlled the others. So I started small. I went through every message, every photo, every scrap of evidence I had. I created a folder labeling each file carefully, documenting the dates and times. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt like I was taking control. But control is fragile. The next morning, my laptop screen flickered with an alert I hadn't set. A single message flashed across it in bold white letters against a black background. "We see you." My hands went cold. The folder, my proof, was gone. Completely wiped. Panic clawed at my chest. He knew. Somehow he already knew what I was doing. And worse, he had the power to reach straight into my life, my devices, my home, like nothing I had was safe. I wanted to scream, but instead I froze. If he could delete files, what else could he do? Could he frame me? Could he destroy every trace of my truth? That's when I realized I couldn't do this alone. I went back to the woman, shoving my phone toward her. "He's in everything," I said, my voice trembling. My laptop, my accounts. He erased it all. She didn't even flinch. Instead, she nodded slowly, like she had expected it. "Then you need to stop thinking like a victim," she said. "If you want to win, you have to think like him." Her words sank in like poison and medicine all at once. Think like him, predict his moves, use his own arrogance against him. But that wasn't what scared me most. What scared me most was the way her eyes lit up when she said it. Like she had done this before. Like she was waiting for me to agree to something bigger, something darker. "Why are you helping me?" I asked carefully. She smiled faintly, but there was no warmth in it. "Because if you win, I win too. He took something from me, and I want it back." For a moment, the room felt colder. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about alliances, hidden motives, and debts that went deeper than I had imagined. I should have walked away. I should have cut ties and saved myself. But instead, I leaned in closer. "Then tell me what to do." Her smile widened just slightly. "Good girl. The first step, we're going to crash his perfect little world." Realized where it came from. And in his world, where reputation was everything, Chaos was poison. We met in a crowded cafe, our voices low enough to be drowned out by clinking cups. She slid a folded piece of paper toward me. On it was a name I didn't recognize. "Start with her," she said. "She's the thread. Pull it, and his whole image unravels." I swallowed hard, my hands trembling as I held the paper. What do I even say? She leaned in, her eyes sharp. You don't have to say much, just enough to make her doubt him. Doubt spreads like fire. Once it starts, you won't have to fan the flames. They'll spread on their own. It sounded manipulative, dangerous, wrong. But at the same time, it was brilliant. For the first time, I felt like I had a weapon in this war. So, I made the call. My voice shook, but I repeated exactly what she told me. A question disguised as concern. A hint of knowledge I shouldn't have had. And then silence. The reaction was instant. The woman's voice cracked on the other end, her calm shattering into suspicion. I could hear the seed take root, twisting through her trust like vines around stone. I hung up, my heart pounding. I had just lit the first spark. But that night, as I lay awake replaying every word, guilt pressed heavy against my chest. What if she was innocent? What if dragging her into this made me just as cruel as him? And yet, when I checked my messages the next morning, there it was, a text from her. I think you were right. He's hiding something. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt something darker. Power. For once, he wasn't the one controlling the story. I was. But power is dangerous. It doesn't come without a price. Later that day, I received a message from an unknown number. No greeting, no explanation, just a single chilling sentence. You think you can beat me at my own game? My stomach dropped. He knew. Somehow, he had already sensed my hand in this. I wanted to run, to back out before it went too far. But the woman's voice echoed in my mind. If you want to win, you have to think like him. So, I steadied my hands, deleted the message, and whispered to myself, not this time. What I didn't know was that by striking first, I had triggered something much bigger. A war where the next move could destroy either of us completely. And the scariest part? He wasn't planning to fight fair. The wedding day arrived like a storm, loud, chaotic, and impossible to ignore. From the outside, it looked perfect. White flowers, golden lights, laughter spilling from every corner. But landed on her. The woman who had trusted my whispers. The one who now doubted every word he spoke. She didn't look like a bride glowing with joy. She looked like a woman on the edge of running. That's when I knew. The seed had worked. The ceremony began, voices rising in unison, the air thick with expectation. And just as the vows were about to begin, it happened. She froze. Her hand slipped from his. Gasps echoed through the room as silence swallowed the music. Then, in a voice that trembled but carried through the hall, she said the words that shattered him. I can't do this. I don't trust you. The crowd erupted, his face drained of color, his smile breaking like glass under pressure. He tried to speak, to salvage the moment, but it was too late. The whispers spread like wildfire. Guests exchanged knowing looks, piecing together what I had planted. And I, hidden in the back, unseen, felt something I hadn't in years. Justice. It wasn't joy. It wasn't revenge. It was something deeper. The balance restored. The man who had once broken me was now broken in front of everyone who had ever thought he was untouchable. But as I slipped away from the chaos, my chest tightened, because victories like this don't come clean. They stain you, and I couldn't escape the question pressing against my ribs. Did I win? Or did I just become him? I'll let you decide. And if you want more shocking stories where love, betrayal, and revenge collide in ways you'd never expect, don't forget to subscribe, because trust me, what you've heard so far is just the beginning.